Trade facilitation is at the heart of global economy and development. Corruption is a fundamental challenge and has an adverse effect on a country and its economy. Ghana is one of the countries tackling corruption at our various ports by introducing the paperless system. I'm always excited coming your way with Port and Maritime Agenda. My name is Jacqueline Favor Asase, but before we delve into today's discussion, we're taking a quick break. We'll be right back.
The Consolidated Shipping Agencies Limited, or CONSHIP for short, is a world-class Ghanaian logistics company formed in February 1996. It is based in Accra, Tema, and Takoradi in Ghana, West Africa.
We've expanded our portfolio to offer services such as marine and husbandry services, onshore and offshore logistics services, projects, international freight forwarding services, and warehousing.
Today, due to its numerous partnerships, CONSHIP has a network over 2,000 locations globally from which it can do business. This enables the company to fulfill its prime goal of providing quick, efficient, and dependable services for its customers. The vision: succeeding together with passion.
Welcome back from the very quick break. If you just joined us, this is Port and Maritime Agenda. My name is Jacqueline Favor Asase. He's the president of CUBAG, Custom Brokers Association Ghana. Nana Fredua Agyeman is my guest today. Hello, Director.
Hi, Jackie.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How is everything?
We are hanging in there. Ours is a lot better than so many others, so we thank God.
You're looking splendid too.
Yeah, I'm sporting my Friday
African print, yeah.
African print.
Yes, so
supporting local industries.
So the last time I saw you was at the what's the name? One of the conferences in Labadi, and then you gave your submissions were just on point. Kudos to your good self.
Thank you.
Keep educating us and then putting us on the limelight, yeah.
Well,
so, sir, before we kickstart with the conversation, and then somebody who wants to know what shipping and everything is about, what is shipping and how important is it to the world?
Well, shipping, somebody will put it, is a movement of goods.
Okay.
Yeah, from one point to the other. And that one point to the other might be between countries. It might be also intra, that is within a country. There are countries that have, like these archipelagos, that have several islands and things.
Okay.
It wouldn't be an international trade, but it will be moving from one point or one island to the other. That's also considered as shipping. Others define it as a means of transporting goods from one country to the other in the world or around the world.
We've been told, we've been told that shipping is one of the oldest industry in the world, and it's a major driver of trade. Do you think much has been achieved?
Yeah, shipping is so important to global economy and everything else. Like you rightfully said, shipping has been around from the days of the wooden, sailing ships with all kinds of some used paddles, others used turbines, steam turbines, things like that. Shipping has been around for so long, but as the world progresses, trade is about the most important thing that brings the world together. Countries trading among themselves. And about 90% of global trade relies on shipping. So that should tell you how important shipping is. 90% of global trade relies on shipping. Shipping can be described as four main modes. We call it multimodal. That is either by road freight or the trucks we know, or by rail, which most often doesn't happen in these parts of the world. But rail cargo carries a lot in North America. And then we also have the most popular ones, that's the air freight, and then sea freight. Of all the four that I've mentioned, sea freight is the most important because global trade relies on it heavily. if I can share a few of the statistics with you.
Okay, sure.
I think one of the statistics we gleaned from WTO, that's the World Trade Organization, talks about as much as 11 billion tons of goods are transported by ship each year.
Okay.
Staggering numbers. You can't even fathom what it looks like. 11 billion tons. And a ton, we all know, is 1,000 kilos. So you can do the multiplication, and then you see what. I mean, this represents about 1.5 ton per person. I mean, shipped around the world. I mean, a lot goes on in the maritime trade. Some call it sea freight, others call it seaborne trade.
Okay.
Yeah, but it all talks about reliance on ships or vessels to transport cargo around the world. I'm saying 11 billion tons are shipped annually. That should give you an idea of the magnitude. Yeah.
Interesting. So, but the industry is of high risk. Shipping industry is really of high risk. What are some of the challenges do you think can be avoided?
Oh, I mean, like any other human endeavor, there's a lot of risk involved. Okay. Shipping is high risk, not around the world, but in certain parts of the world.
Oh, okay.
I mean, shipping is riskier around countries that are in turmoil or in areas that there are conflicts. Okay. So then you have the issues of piracy and the like, where people would hijack vessels. They'll use tugboats and fast speedboats to, I mean, cross shipping vessels and then, I mean, hijack them and then make demands for ransoms and things like that. Okay. Otherwise, the natural hazards of the sea storms and things like that will be the other kind of risk or hazards that one can think of. But modern, I mean, shipping vessels have been designed to withstand, I mean, most of these, I mean, sea storms that you'd encounter. But obviously, but for the extreme ones, like a tsunami occurring and things like that, and these things happen like once in a year, or sometimes it doesn't happen at all. Because vessels are becoming larger and larger. And based on technology, ships, I mean, look at the weather patterns and are able to predict what the weather is at certain parts of the world. So they might probably rather delay the sailing off time and then avoid running into a storm or things like that. Then if we can talk about things like maintenance culture and how well ships are maintained, these are things that you can say that is a no-brainer, because a ship won't set sail until all the standard operating procedures have been checked to have been complied with. It won't go on. So I won't consider it that much of a high risk because of the measures that have been put in place. Okay. Yes. Even though they transport high risk cargo, the shipping itself as a carrier, there's not that much of a risk attached. Once you follow the procedures, yeah, you're good. If we come to talk about high risk cargo, like the DG, what we call dangerous goods, it is better on the seas. The more you go up, so dangerous goods are more dangerous if it's going by air freight. Yeah, because there are things like atmospheric pressure and things like that. So the higher you go, some of the chemicals and things we transport might either explode or things like that. But even that, there's a way to mitigate the risk by using dry ice and things like that to, I mean, keep the stability of some of the things that we transport by air. So I wouldn't say that it's that much risky in this day and age.
Okay. But do you think that African ports are doing much in terms of exploitation and then performances?
If you say doing much in terms of exploitation, and then exploitation and then performances, well, I mean, the world is becoming more competitive, and technology is making the world, I mean, smaller. Even though physical size has not become smaller, we communicate, we ship things around more. How do we exploit, I mean, the advantages or the opportunities that shipping brings us? Like I said earlier, shipping vessels are becoming larger, And so because of that, most ships, most of the large ships can't call at the traditional African ports because they need to have, the ports are supposed to have a certain level of draft.
Okay.
And if you are not able to do port expansion or modernization, then most of these super carriers are not able to call at your ports. So if you say how much are we exploiting this, I would say yes, most of the African countries that are on the coast are taking advantage, but they are also exploited in a way because it takes a lot of money to do port expansion.
Okay.
It goes into the billions of dollars. I'm not talking about millions.
Billions.
For instance, billions. For instance, what we've done at the Terminal 3, which we call Meridian Port Service, MPS Terminal 3, it costed us over almost 2 billion, 1.3, and then in excess of that. Most of the time, African countries don't have the wherewithal to be able to do this expansion or modernization by themselves. So they end up contracting loans or getting, foreign partners to come and do this. There are few cases in point where, China is the world's biggest, investor when it comes to port expansion in Africa. And some poor African countries have had to sign contracts that they probably didn't take their time to read. And for that matter, the ports are almost the property of these Chinese. There are few cases like that. But we are doing a bit because the whole world relies on Africa for natural resources and minerals. So they can't afford to leave us as they go along in their development line because they have to develop our ports enough for these vessels to be able to call at these ports to carry the raw materials that the world needs to produce all the things that we need. So yes, I think we are, but the profits probably go somewhere else, even though now the vessels are able to call at our ports.
This is still Port and Maritime Agenda. We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back.
Here in APMT Liberia, we're training employees to have a mindset, the mindset of lean. Ensure that when you come to work, you don't just come to do your job, but you come also to do some thinking and also some kaizens. So currently, as you can see here in our environment, we're currently doing a kaizen on 5S, which is basically to improve the safety in our work environment. After doing the lesson, we split the team into groups where they're being assigned to a specific store. And in those stores, they're tasked to ensure that the place is clean, neat, and also everything is at its right place. So what we hope to achieve is not only to build that culture where people are aware of the environment and also the safe working space, but also for them to have that mindset. And the mindset that we're talking about is that 5S mindset. Every time you take something, you always question yourself, where am I putting it? Am I putting it at the right spot? Is it something I really need to do my work? And it is also proven that when you have a 5S mindset, you can improve your productivity by 30%. And that is excellent. Why? Because you can easily find what you're looking for. Everything is at its right space, the right place for everything. So when you need something, you can easily go fetch for it without wasting any time. And we know that in our industry, customer waiting is one of the biggest wastes. And we can reduce that a lot just by doing the 5S Kaizen and also the 5S mindset.
Welcome back from that very quick break. If you just joined us, this is Port and Maritime Agenda. Nana Fredua is the president of CUBAG. He is our guest today on Port and Maritime Agenda. So, sir, can the industry boost a country's economy, the shipping industry? Is it really boosting the country's economy?
Yes, it is. Like I said, earlier, global trade relies heavily on shipping. So certainly is the driver or the enabler of development or expansion of a country's economy. For instance, Ghana is traditionally an exporter of raw materials, and that's where we get, the bulk of our foreign exchange from the manganese, the gold,
the
diamond, mention them, and also the cocoa. These are heavy cargo that cannot be shipped by any other means than by the sea.
Okay.
So talk of manganese, where manganese is mined, when you go to those areas in Ghana, the roads are all gone. But manganese is so heavy.
Okay.
Talk about cocoa, it comes to the port by articulated tracks. They call some roads cocoa roads.
Oh, okay.
Cocoa roads, where Ghana Cocoa Board has to deliberately invest money to make sure those roads are motorable. And the motorable for a cocoa road is not the kind of road you can drive your sports car or a saloon car on. But we still have to do it because that's the main source of our, foreign exchange earnings. So yes, the sea is a very important one and is an enabler for our economy because that's how we send our goods away and then bring in, the imports that we need. It's a largely import-driven economy, if you know that. We don't have all the statistics because Ghana, that's our biggest bane.
Yeah.
But what the facts or the figures that are bandied around are between 70 and 90% of everything we consume here or have in this country comes from somewhere else. And so definitely it tells you how important shipping is or how the sea is. Okay,
but talking about the import, is it really the right way to go, importing more than we export?
In a country that, imports more than exports, is at the risk or is at the mercy of other countries, is at the mercy of the countries they are importing from. A country can only be described as self-reliant if they manufacture what they need or they grow what they eat, and then all the other things we need here if we're able to do. But no single country in the world is an island, as in completely reliant on itself, and it manufactures all that they need or use in the country. Not even the Americans and the Chinese. Everybody relies on the other. That's why global trade is, skyrocketing. Yeah. And I think in 2022, it hits an all-time high of like about $32 billion. That's how much global trade is, rising. So, it's so important. It's so important. If you can come back again with a question, I can give you some statistics.
We import more than we export.
Yeah, we do. Like I'm saying, we do because we don't have the industries or the factories. For instance, we are an agrarian economy. Okay. Means we do more planting and agricultural stuff. So what Ghana should have done is to build industries that would help us process these agri produce and then export them to the rest of the world. But most of it lives here in their very primary state, the raw state, if you can put it. So we don't take advantage of the things that we have, and that's how come we import a lot more. A good strategy would have been probably what we call import substitution, ISI.
Okay.
Yes, import substitution. It helps you to industrialize. Yeah, by that you bring in what you can manufacture here because you don't have those, natural materials to do them. And the ones that you can have here, you refine them and ship them. So you only bring in what you don't have naturally here, or what you don't have a competitive advantage over. So then if it's an import, substitution driven industrialization, it would have been a lot better than how we are now. But what we have naturally, what we have a competitive advantage over, we rather ship it to the rest of the world. And what we don't have in here, we also bring it. So completely import.
Okay. So would you say Ghana is not in a good it's not in good standing when it comes to exporting more than we import?
We export far less. Like I told you that about 90%, 70 to 90% comes from somewhere else. It should tell you how lopsided the import-export business is. Government is doing well though by encouraging what they call non-traditional export. And non-traditional export is the situation where we are now trying to add value to what we were traditionally exporting away. So for instance, cocoa, if you take cocoa, which is our main export crop, we are adding value to it, not in terms of taking it all the way to chocolate. Okay. We do some chocolate here, but it's only like about less than 3% of what we export in the raw state. Okay. So we are adding value. There are companies here who are now sending cocoa in the form of a paste. Like the Barricalibos of this world, they are here now. They're in the export-free zones.
Okay.
And so they ship out cocoa semi-processed. Yeah, because to send the raw beans, it can only go in that bulky state. But when you add value here, then we can get a little bit more from what we have naturally.
Okay. But some time ago, is it few months ago, government is trying to ban more of the importation. But then there were some agitations from most of the people who even import. Do you think it's a good call?
I mean, banning import is a good thing.
Okay. But
there has to be a deliberate strategy to do that. Because how do you ban something that you don't have locally? And then it's a suicidal mission.
Okay.
So for instance, staples like rice, grain, I mean the wheat and things of this world, that we have a competitive advantage over the rest of the world. I mean Africa in general and then Ghana specifically. Because Africa has the world's largest stock of arable lands. So why would we then be importing grains like wheat from Ukraine and the Russians, importing rice from the Thailand and the rest of them? Why should we be doing that? That's where we have, an advantage. So we should have been producing the rice here and then, processing it for our people. But we don't, because we haven't built the capacity to even grow the rice in its raw state, more so to process it. So we are relying on them. If the country that gives us rice for some reason decides they are not shipping rice to us, what will happen to us? So that's why our currency is that weak, and the CD has been depreciating for God knows how long. And
it's now, is it 15 or something there?
I've stopped looking at the figures because every week we in shipping, every week on Tuesday, Bank of Ghana will give us a new rate. I don't remember any 2 weeks or any 1 month consistently that the rate had remained the same. It's always changing. It is always changing. We expect it on Tuesday. So if we have to clear goods for people, you tell them you have to do what to pay the duty latest by Monday. Because by the Tuesday, you don't know what to do. Then in our system, we have to come and do what we call post entry, because the exchange rate has changed between the weekend that you pass the entry and then by Tuesday, it has changed. So you have to come and redo it again.
And that ends up affecting the importer.
The cost of importation.
Okay.
It affects a lot of things aside that, because the shipping thrives on what we call predictability. That I know that I'm bringing maybe a truckload of any product you can think of, and it's coming to Ghana, because the importer will come to see us as consultants in the field. We tell them what the duty rates are, what the shipping freight costs are, and all of that. But when they get here, the exchange rate alone can throw them out of gear, because it might have changed. So they might have budgeted what they are going to use to do the clearing, and it's no longer the case. You have to find money from elsewhere.
Interesting. To the layperson, how important is international trade?
International trade is so important. We've been talking about this for a while, but to share a few of the statistics with you, and for the benefit of the layman that you talk of. International trade is, like for instance, when it comes to merchandise that we buy from factories coming to us. In 2022, normally we rely on the figures from the previous year, because we are in July. And so if there's any figure to cover 23, it will be only for the half year. But the WTO publishes something they call Global Trade Outlook. And the Global Trade Outlook tells you, is also reliant on the previous year to be able to predict or project how much is going to, go into global trade. And so for instance, in 2022, we are told that the world merchandise trade rose by as much as 12%. So it went to an all-time high of 25 trillion. I said billion earlier. No, it's not billion, it's trillion. $25 trillion in 2022. I'm quoting WTO, so it's a reliable source. And one of the other figures you need to know is that world commercial services trade also increased up to about 15%, to about 6.8 trillion. So these are trillions of dollars, not billions of dollars. Forgive the figures are so big sometimes you can't even imagine it. I mean, if you look at the UN Agency for Trade, UNCTAD, they also do something they call a global trade update. Their update also said that the value of international trade was projected to hit 32 trillion by the end of 2022. These are figures that they are taking from trade between countries from around the world. They are talking about 32 trillion, not billion. Yeah, so to the layman, probably can't even fathom what these figures looks like. Because Ghana, for the last almost a year, we've been trying so hard to meet the conditionalities of the IMF to get a paltry $3 billion. The whole country. Yeah, $3 billion. So if you want to think about how many billions become a trillion, that should give you an idea that it is so important.
Yeah. Interesting. We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Clay Crane. 2023 is with us, and I would like to take the opportunity to wish all a safe and happy new year. APM Terminals Liberia has, over the years, been a leader in port operations in Liberia. Together with our partners, we have continuously invested in cutting-edge technology to modernize the Freeport of Monrovia to fulfill its mandate as the gateway of the Liberian economy. This year, we are poised to accelerate this vision.
So we are going to contribute to accelerating the vision in 2023 by improving the already good outcomes of our port digitalization to give our customers, our users, and staff a better experience by collaborating with our external stakeholders.
In accelerating the vision in 2023, we will keep the customer at the center and at the heart of what we do.
We are always developing our people here at APM Terminals Liberia by equipping them with the needed knowledge, skills, and exposure. They will be empowered to deliver more as we accelerate our vision this year.
APM Terminals Liberia continue to perform well in health and safety thanks to our continuous adaptation to ways of working and safer handling of cargo. We have recorded 0 fatality in 2022. 2023, we're going to continue to accelerate our vision for safety to ensure that we are safer, bigger, and better.
At APM Terminals Liberia, operations demand efficiency. There is a renewed sense of enthusiasm amongst the team. Everyone is aware of how critical our work is with regards to accelerating the vision of APM Terminals.
Happy New Year and welcome to the year 2023. We are aware of the global economic challenges, but we want to take this opportunity to assure our staff and our stakeholders that APM Terminals Liberia will put in the right investments in support of our bigger, better, and safer global operations to allow for the greater economic growth and prosperity of Mama Liberia.
We are committed to continuous quality service to our stakeholders, partners, and agencies here in Liberia.
Welcome back from that very quick break. This is still Port and Maritime Agenda. So, Director, one merit of international trade decreases competition, and then it gives access to revenue mobilization and then risk management. Is Ghana benefiting?
You say merits of international trade being what?
It decreases competition.
Competition.
Yeah.
So that would be what? Competition among what?
Among other neighboring countries. Since the industry is so important to every country, it decreases the competition, and then increases revenue, and then maybe one or two things is better risk management. Do you think Ghana is benefiting?
Well, Ghana is benefiting like all other African countries. Unfortunately, we are the one bloc that does not trade amongst itself. The traditional system has been, or if I can say the status quo has been, that most African countries trade with their colonial masters. So we are hewers of wood and drawers of water.
Okay.
We'll go and grow our foodstuffs, or what they call cash crops, and then we'll ship it to our colonial masters. So cocoa is going to the UK. The cocoa from Ivory Coast, which is the world's largest producer, is going to France. So this is how lopsided it is. France is doing the most quality chocolates around the world.
Oh, okay.
Because their colony is Ivory Coast.
But they don't produce chocolate.
They don't produce cocoa. They don't grow cocoa. But all the cocoa from Ivory Coast invariably goes to, France. But for other countries, they also take. But the majority goes to France. Okay. It's the same for Ghana. Majority goes to UK. Only in recent times, the Chinese have found ways to also get involved in this trade. Yeah, and so much of it is also going to China. Okay. In the case of China, I think we are using it, to pay for loans. So it's a form of a barter. Yeah, they're giving us stuff, and then we are paying by shipping cocoa to them. Somebody told us that they paid for the cocoa they need from Ghana for at least almost the next 5 to 10 years already. Oh. So yeah, it's for just balance of payment issues that we're saying. We are not really taking advantage. We are not taking advantage of global trade, because the merits of trading amongst ourselves is much, much more than trading with our colonial masters. Why? Because one, the colonial masters, they determine the price at which they want to buy the goods. Okay. Unlike their produce that they do, whatever is coming from Europe or from the US or from China, we don't determine how much we want to buy it at. And so it's unfathomable to think that you would produce the thing and somebody will tell you how much I will buy it. Yet still, when it comes to this, they will tell you how much they are selling it for. So this is how much we are not taking advantage of it. So if we're doing import substitution, then majority of the cocoa that we produce here in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, will be producing the chocolate here. So Ghana and Ivory Coast will be the largest, producers of chocolate. Okay. Yes. If you want to know how much chocolate, the chocolate industry is over $1 trillion.
Yeah, even a small pack of chocolate.
No, it's not a small pack of chocolate. They do all kinds of things with cocoa. Okay. Yeah, so a lot more from the Milo and all of those things is chocolate. Okay. Yeah, they do use it for so many beverages, but we get very little of the proceeds from something that we are the one who originated. So we would have taken advantage of it if we're doing import substitution, if we're adding value to these primary products before we ship it to them. Then we can control the prices. But there's a World Cocoa Sample, I've forgotten their name, which is in France and in the UK, in London and in Paris. They determine the price at which the world should sell cocoa. And not the people who are producing the cocoa. This is very, very, very sad. Yeah. So we are not taking advantage of the merits of global trade or world trade. Because the person who produces or manufactures it should be the one that puts the price out there. And then they'll go to the World Mercantile, and then we'll go and probably, it's like a stock exchange, where we'll go and trade and say, well, it will be a barter kind of a thing at the stock exchange, where the whole world would agree on the price to sell it. But we are the ones who are supposed to propose the prices. It's not the case. We produce it, and somebody tells you how much I'll buy it. Because if you don't agree to that price, you have to eat your raw cocoa beans.
So is that why when some of the goods come into the country, most of them are lesser than what we even end up producing? Because when you take a look at some chocolates, Ghana chocolate is more expensive than the imported ones. Yes. Is it because of the price they named or had for?
Yeah, because the things we need to produce the chocolate, aside the raw material being the cocoa, we still get them from somewhere. And that somewhere we are getting them from is the manufacturers of those things that determine how much we can buy it for. Whilst at the same time, our cocoa that is going to them, they are telling us how much they will pay for it. So it cannot be an even playground. What you need to produce yours, they are telling you how much you buy it at. Take it or leave it. What they need to produce this, they are telling you how much they will buy it for. So clearly, when Ghana and France or Ghana and the UK is producing the same bar of chocolate, obviously the one from the UK will be much cheaper than the one from Ghana.
Okay.
Because they are determining all the factors of production to say that this is it. So they will arrive at a...
But are we not in the position to also acquire some of the equipment that we can also use to produce them?
It's a pity why we have it. I mean, they say development is a deliberate thing. It doesn't just happen by chance. If the white man knows that if you get all the equipment or the factory lines to produce the cocoa here, you stop shipping the cocoa to him, you think he will allow you to get all the equipment you need?